Cloud. Hello, welcome to Turn RE. Today we are introducing a wealth builder out of Connecticut, Delroy Samuels. We got to connect in the school community, part of one rental at a time. So thank you for joining the show, man.
Thanks for having me, man. Looking forward to share what I have experienced and learned over the past couple of years, and looking forward to learn from you too.
Good. So I saw your post in the one rental at a time community, kind of introducing yourself, and I said, "Oh shoot, okay, we got a house hacker. He's done it a few times. I gotta have him on." So can you talk to the people, kind of like what your portfolio is now?
So currently, me and my wife's portfolio, so because we're getting married next month in Jamaica, so we have three triplexes and so 9 units in total. So one each year so far.
One each year so far. So
Yeah.
you've moved three times in 3 years.
Yes, and we started in 2023.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you kind of paint the picture? Because you're the first person I've had from Connecticut, so I don't know what the prices are kind of like there. So,
So like in Connecticut, right? So you got the imagine the hub, New York, right?
mhm,
And the further you go out, like the closer to New York you are, the more
mhm,
expensive it is, right?
mhm.
So I migrated from Jamaica in 2016. So I lived in Bridgeport. So the prices there were relatively low. So when we did our first house hack in 2023, a three family is going for 375, right?
Okay.
So 375, 400, and we got that one under contract for like three se so it was listed for 400 and we got it on a contract for 375, and we did some renovations, lived in it for a year, and yeah, so that was the first one. Mhm.
That is awesome. Okay, so before we even went live, we were talking a little bit, and I said, "Oh, I know that accent because my family's from Jamaica too." So that's awesome. So what brought you to the U.S.? And let's be honest, brother, there's not a lot of us in Connecticut. So
Well,
what brought you there?
so initially it was my family. Like my mom was here, my brother was here, my sister was here. So it was mainly family, and I was in Jamaica, and I just wanted to be closer to family, basically, mainly.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Okay, cool. And so that's 2016. And then what kind of sparked the interest in real estate?
So it was a multiple things, right? So first, when I came from Jamaica, I stayed with my brother, and he had bought a quadplex in Bridgeport in
Mm,
2013. So when I used to go back and forth from Jamaica and visit, I used to like help him with the rental on property and stuff like that. So, and I think I remember when I was living with him, I went to collect rent, right? I'm like, bro, I don't see you do nothing all month on this house. You go collect like $1,500 just like that. I'm like, yeah. So,
mm.
and my parents were like more entrepreneurs back in Jamaica too. So that's where the spark came from. So it was a combination of things.
Okay,
Mhm.
cool. And so it sounds like your family was kind of the spark because they were already
Yeah.
doing it. You're like, if my brother can do it, he's not been doing nothing. I
Ne-
I can own something. Okay,
Exactly,
cool,
exactly.
cool. Okay, so you start to collect the rent. You're like, all right, I can do this. Did you kind of educate yourself? You were like, no, what? I'm just gonna jump in.
So for me, so coming from Jamaica in 2016, 2017, I had no job, I had no money. I was like 22, 23. So it took me years to actually get my first one. So it took
Mm,
years of me basically focusing on bettering myself first. For example, going to school, going back to school, getting a job to show that income. And after got my first stable job in like 2022, I got my first stable no, I got my first stable job in 2021, all right? Right
mm.
after COVID. So it took me like a year and a half to get like financially ready and everything. So, and I did my first one in 2023. So, other than that, I didn't really educate myself much. I just like got in the game. You know what I mean? I learned
Nice.
so much over the years that I can like teach someone how to actually do it correctly. Uh,
Good. Okay, so what was the job that you got in 2021?
So I was a junior accountant because I went to school. I finished my bachelor's in 2019 as a in finance.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
hmm
Okay. So junior accountant, and then you have to work that job for 2 years to become
Bankable.
Bankable?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Uh,
So can you tell us about that first deal? You kind of already told us like the price, but like how did you find it? How did you fund it? I'm guessing that you didn't pay cash.
Nah. So so the first one, it was on the MLS, and it was during a time when the rates were going up, right? So like
Mhm,
a lot of inventory was sitting on the market, right? So initially I had two houses under contract. So I chose the one I purchased because it was the first next one was in a flood zone. So
mhm,
I said, nah, I don't want to deal with a headache. So I found on the MLS, and the list price was 400K, and I my first offer was 360, and then we met in the middle at 375. So that's how the first one went. So yeah.
mhm.
hmm
Okay, okay. So did you find it like was it on Redfin? Did your agent send it to you?
I think my agent sent it to me. I said, yo, you
Oh,
should take a
nice.
look at this, because at first I was like, nah, I probably need too much work. I don't know nothing about this. So yeah.
Okay. And then how much did you actually have to put down? I mean, because I think often people think, oh, I have to have 20% or I have to have this huge down payment.
So like the first, it was a FHA loan, so 3.5% of 375, which is basically like $13,000 or something like that.
Hmm.
And plus you got like probably come up with 10 or something for closing costs. So it's like 20, like I put up like 20, 23, but
Hmm.
that first 23 was a lot in my mind. I was like, bro, where am I getting all this money from? I'm broke. So yeah.
Good. Broke buying houses. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
So okay, so you get it under contract, you get the close. Now you're a broke landlord.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
How how is that? Because I know you self-manage, right? So
Yeah, I do self-manage. But luckily, I had like me and my girlfriend, now wife, right? So
mhm,
we were working two jobs. So since we renovate, it was three units. So we lived in one. A tenant was there already, so she was paying rent, and we
mhm.
pulled our money together and just like fixed it up, right? And
Oh,
then
okay.
and we also use some credit cards too, to be honest. You know what I'm saying? Just to get all the materials and stuff, and pay the guys and stuff. So yeah, so we fixed it up over time, and then once it was fixed up, we got it rented. We were basically paying like $300 out of pocket for living expenses. That allowed us to pay off
Mhm.
the credit cards and also continue to save for the next one.
Wow. Okay. So there's a lot there. So you got the credit cards to pay for the materials and pay the guys.
Mhm.
Was there like a strategy there, or you're like, hey, any card we get, we're just gonna use
No, like so we had like good credit and stuff, so we had a large limit and stuff. So it was
it?
just no strategy. Just
No
do it.
strategy.
None.
Just
Just do it.
that's funny. Good. So I'm not sure if you know now, but I'm sure someone out there could learn from this. There's these 0% credit cards that you can
Yeah.
use,
hmm
and so for your first one, if if you don't know, then that's fine. But going forward, if you ever need a rehab, just apply for the 0%.
So what we did is like we balance transferred to a 0% card afterwards.
Oh, okay.
We consolidated everything and then do that balance transfer.
Nice, nice. With
Mm,
the balance transfer, is there any fee?
yes, there's a fee. There's like 3 to 5% fee. So, but
Oh, okay.
if you think about it, if you hold, if say the balance was 10K, the interest you paying each month is like 200, $300, and it's gonna take you 10 months to pay it out or whatever time. It's
Yeah.
worth it to pay that transfer fee to get the 0%.
Yes, yes. And I think you're smart like that because you have a financing
Mm,
like background. But
hmm
I don't think necessarily everyone that's new kind of thinks of like, oh, what's an outside of the way box to lower the cost of a capital.
Yes, yes. And I think one thing I didn't had is that like me and my fiance work in New York, right? So the
Hmm.
commute from Bridgeport to New York is like long, but I was hybrid, and she was going to the office every day. So
Oh,
it was like a brutal commute, right? But it's like the price you have to pay, right? The price you have to pay to
mm.
get into game. So yeah.
Okay. What is considered a brutal commute there?
So her commute was more brutal than mine because I was hybrid. So I was going to the office like 3 days a week, right? So
Mhm.
for a couple of years, and but she was going every day. So she would, so for example, now she would park her car in Stamford, and we live in Bridgeport, so I would drop her to the train station in Bridgeport. She would take the train from Bridgeport to Stamford, and then drive from Stamford to New York to avoid the
Oh,
traffic. So that took her like 1 hour, 1.5 hours each way. So that's like 3 hour
oh,
commute per day, right?
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh
So
my gosh.
yeah, but that's the price you have to pay. And sometimes I would have to go to Brooklyn, and that would like take 2 hours too, one way.
Mm,
So it's just like, but looking back, it was like it was it was worth it. You know what I mean? Because now that
mm.
same house is we can sell it for almost 600K, right? Over 3 years.
Wow.
It was worth it.
Yeah, yeah. It's those little sacrifices at the beginning that don't seem small because you're like, God, 3 hours on the road or even
Uh,
4 hours on the road.
uh,
But later down the road, I'm sure it's cash flowing great,
yeah.
and the price has gone up
And the
two,
rents
three
have
hundred
gone
K.
up.
Yeah.
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 That
So yeah.
that okay. So that is awesome. So then you guys go to house second number two.
Yes.
Is that
So
kind of that same area?
yeah, that was like a little 30 minutes more away, all right? And but
30 minutes more.
yeah, because in Bridgeport the prices went up so much that like yeah,
Mm,
we can't afford to buy in this area anymore because as I said, the prices went up to like 600, 555. You know what I mean? So the price we couldn't
mm,
afford to like the numbers didn't make sense in that area. So we had to like venture out a little more.
mhm.
So yeah, so we did. So that's what we did.
Good. And can you tell us a little bit about house site number two?
So house
Kind of
hack
the
number
same
two.
three.
Yeah, same three, because that's one strategy to like really cash flow in Connecticut. We learned that to spread the risk, which we prefer 3 units, in case one tenant is not paying, we can cover the mortgage with our paycheck. You know?
Hmm.
So that's like one. If all else fails, can we cover this mortgage by ourselves? And we say yes. So this one was listed at 400K. So it wasn't that
Hmm.
much more because we ventured out 30 minutes more, right? But it needed third floor needed a lot of work, but based on the first one, we learned a lot and we know to find the proper contractors and stuff to do the good job. So we were more in the game, basically. So
Mm.
we got this one for 400 and we did roof, siding, and finished the third floor. And that one cash flows pretty well because we got it on the market value and we did some value add and stuff like that. So yeah.
Nice, nice. Your wife, does she come from a real estate background too, or was this all brand new to her?
She was in real estate, but she was not like in it like I was obsessing, right? Because she was doing like auctions and stuff like that. So she had bought land in Pennsylvania from an auction, so she was always interested in it, right? So she bought
Mm.
like a land in Pennsylvania for 3K, right? And then it's not making much money, but it's just like she was in it, but she wasn't like in like the rental property game as much.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Hmm.
okay. So it sounds like it didn't take much convincing to get her
Nah,
on board. Okay,
nah,
good.
because she was in it, and she's from a Jamaican background too, so you know.
Oh, oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice, nice. Okay, so you guys are kind of in it. During this time, what were some of the lessons that and you learned, good, bad, and the ugly?
So one of the main lessons was from the first one because Um, for the first one, the utilities for the third and the second floor were joined, and I that's not a good setup for if you want to be grow, right? So that's one lesson. Like always try to get like utilities separated because you don't want to bear that expense, you know? So that's
Mm.
one thing. And lesson is your the best person on your team is the contractor because man like some contractors are terrible, man, and they're like very terrible. So I'm like, if you can find a good contractor that you can see yourself grow with this business in, yeah, that's a good one. Having a good
Okay,
contractor.
good. And how do you vet them, especially early on?
So early on, I got all my contractors from my brother, to be honest, right? So he bet them first, then I get them afterwards.
My trial and fire.
And yes, so he says he's been through so many contractors, man, and this one is the best one he's ha ever had. So I'm like, all right, say less. That's my guy too. So
That's my guy.
exactly, I got my tax
Nice.
guy from him too, and but so yeah.
Okay, okay. And then um, so you got the handyman. You wait. You don't do your own taxes. I thought you're an accountant.
So one thing I learned is like I can't focus you can't focus on everything all at once, right? Because that would
Oh,
take
okay.
away I could technically do it, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
do I want to sit and spend time to learn this? What or do I want to go and search for more deals, right?
Mm.
Is the tax guy's fee gonna change my life? No. But if I can spend more time finding more deals and trying to like add to the portfolio, that would like, you know what I mean? Improve my
Hmm.
life more. So that's, it can't be good at everything. So that's my
Can't be
thinking.
good. Fair. Okay. Yeah. Where's your time best spent? I
Yeah.
I like that. So the next question is, so you are doing that. You said the contractors were hard, but how about the tenant management? Because I know you're self managing your own.
So far, like I had good relationships with all my tenants, to be
Mm,
honest. And like because I show them respect and I vet them properly. And I just got lucky
mhm.
because I've used an agent to like help screen them too. So
Oh, okay.
because I think one time I tried to fill the apartment by myself and it felt overwhelming because I'm hearing everyone's story and because I think I'm a nice guy, And I felt like I couldn't make a correct decision because there's so much emotions in it. So that
Mm,
part I just don't do anymore. I let the agent screen them and then once they're in, I create a relationship with them myself, talk to them and like if they need something fixed, they just mess it like let me know and I'll fix it as soon as
mm.
possible. So I've created a good relationship or a good rapport with all my tenants. So I haven't had any horror stories yet. Knock on wood, right? You know what I mean? So yeah.
That's good. That's good. So your agent actually screens them. So it kind of seems like it's a little high, like hybrid mix. Like they kind of handle the front end, and then you handle the relationship
Yeah.
from there on.
Yeah.
Is there like a fee for that, or is that just part of y'all's deal?
Yeah, so like because we build good relations with the agents also, we always got
Mhm.
like a discount fee too, right? So normally it's 1 month rent. So if the rent is now like 2K, my agent charged me only a K, one thousand
Mm.
dollars. So it's basically 1 month's rent, or if you know the agent well, you can negotiate a price because in real estate, everything is negotiable. So uh
Good. So we got the good and nothing bad, and that's good. Has there been any projects that you thought were going to be not easy but pretty simple, and then they weren't?
So like the second house we bought, right? So when we bought it, right, we knew that the siding needed to be done. And we're like, yeah, we can do that in 3 to 5 years. Let's make some money first, right? And then like soon as we close, the insurance company like, oh, we have to drop you because you need to do signing and signing on roof. I'm like, damn. I'm like, bro, 1 month after closing, you're telling us this now? So I'm like, yo, and we were renovating the third floor too. So it was like we were doing the renovation on the third floor. And then we got the news that we have to do the siding on the roof. But luckily we bought it under value so much that even though we did the siding on roof, everything is still
Mhm.
cash flowed also still.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I feel like in real estate, that's always how it happens. Never just one thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, like you think
so
it's all going good, and then boom, boom, boom.
yes, boom, everything all at once. I was looking to my wife and like, bro, what did we get ourselves into?
Good.
Yeah.
Um, so how is Connecticut for like since you're self-managed, I'm sure that you know like the laws and stuff, but how is it for like tenant landlord laws and stuff?
So, like, for example, eviction takes like 3 months, right? 3 months.
Oh, okay.
That's that. So I haven't had to do an eviction yet, knock on
Mm,
wood, right? But
yeah.
based on my brother, and he's like my big mentor too when I need advice too. So he says like it takes 3 months.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's shorter than here in Washington.
Well,
So,
no. How long does it take in Washington?
whew, uh, 6 months, a year,
Mm-hmm.
maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Really just depends, like, because Washington's pretty bad, but it also depends like what location.
Mm-hmm.
Because like for example, in Tacoma, which is like a 45 minutes south of Seattle,
Mm-hmm.
you can't evict during the winter.
Mm-hmm.
Which so and then if they have kids, you can't evict
Mm.
during the school year.
What? So when can you evict?
The summer,
Summer? It's
yeah.
crazy. Yeah,
And
that's tough.
so then everyone goes to evict in, and then the court gets backlogged and
Uh,
all of that stuff. And so
mm,
that's why for me and other investors in Washington, we have to be very aware of what
mm,
cities are doing what counties are doing things, because if
mm,
you have a bad tenant in one of those areas, you're in for a
mhm.
fight.
Yeah, that's tough. I would be
Yeah.
scared.
Yeah. I bought in Tacoma, and then like a year later that law went into place, and I said, "Oh my
Oh my,
goodness."
yeah,
Oh my
crazy,
goodness. So,
crazy.
but luckily that they're all good. So kind of how do you self manage? I know you had the agent place the tenant. I'm
Mhm.
sure you're doing your own books to kind of give to the accountant,
Yeah.
but kind of in that day to day stuff, right? Maintenance request or rent payment. How are you managing your nine
So
unit?
so I use a software called like for example the first house. They're not on the software because it's an older
Mm,
Jamaican lady and the span a nice an older Spanish like family, and
mm-hmm.
and the second floor for the first house is on the platform that we use. So we use Tenant Cloud right now, and
Okay.
all the other tenants are on Tenant Cloud except the first two tenants I had.
Mm.
Yeah. So that's how I use the property management software, and they can use put their maintenance request in, or they can just send us
Mm-hmm.
an email or a text message, and we have a handy guy or a contractor to like go and fix it.
Okay.
Hmm.
Nice. Yeah. So it sounds like, man, you got your systems kind of dialed in. It's I'm guessing your brother, he uses that too.
Nah, he wasn't using any property management software. He was more old school, just collecting cash by Zelle or picking up cash or something like that. So
Oh, like cash?
yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So,
Wow. That is old school right there.
so I'm bringing the innovation to it because I'm showing him the softwares and stuff. And yeah, so
Mm. Nice. Cool. So what tips do you have for newer investors? You're a few years in, you got nine doors. So for those people that are just kind of in their first year, or maybe they don't have one yet, what
Mhm.
tips do you have for them?
like it's always gonna be scary, right? It's gonna be scary today, it's gonna be scary tomorrow, it's gonna be scary 10 years from now. But I
Mm-hmm.
feel like we have such limited time on this earth. So it's like, what are you gonna what you have to lose, man? Just try to go find a good deal where you think that like if all else fail, you can like cover it by yourself. You know what I mean? Even though that's hard now, but so it's just like it's always gonna be scary. So
Mm-hmm.
don't let fear stop you. That means if if you're not growing, you're just like you're not doing anything. You just just keep just it's always gonna be scary.
Mm-hmm.
So just
Yes,
get over the
yes.
fear and just do it.
Just do it.
Yeah.
So what's next for you and your wife? Are you guys gonna keep house hacking or what?
So I think our long-term goal is to be retired in Jamaica, right? In maybe 3 to 5 years, right? So in order to get there, we're thinking that like we might have to start like instead of one per year, we're trying to like do like one or two per year to get to like
Mm-hmm.
because I follow Dion, right? So I'm like
Mm-hmm.
8 units. That seems possible, right? 8 units. So my goal is to get to like six, right? But
Mm-hmm.
I would grow its portfolio to eight and then start still sending off like one or two, pay off a
Mm-hmm.
couple, and then that's it. Go back home to Jamaica, right? So the goal is to try to like either save up the 25% or find creative get more into the creative world, stuff like that. So
Hmm.
that's where I'm leaning towards. But if all else fails, we're gonna do 25% or do a next house hack. So that's what we're doing right now.
Nice. Yeah, it seems like the house hacks seem to be working for you. And
Mhm.
to try to retire in a lower cost of living area, I'm sure Jamaica's way less than
Way
Connecticut.
cheaper, way cheaper, man, way cheaper. And plus, we have like her family has a house in Jamaica. I have like a house in Jamaica. I have a duplex in Jamaica. Me and my sister. So it's
Mm.
like once we retire, our living expenses like rent, mortgage is gonna be like $0. So, so that's the goal.
Nice, nice. What is the life like in Jamaica? Um,
So
for
I
just like cost of living for folks that may not know.
So for like where I'm from in St. Thomas, which is outside of Kingston, you can get like a two-bedroom for like 200, $300 a month, right? So and
Mm.
food maybe like can approximate like $200 a month. So I think to live like a decent life in Jamaica, you probably need like 1,500, $2,000 a month to live a decent life. If it's just like you and your lady, but if you have a family, it's gonna be like maybe $3,000 a month. So
Okay,
that's based on my research and
okay. What is
where
like because there's always those people like, oh, I don't want decent, right? If I'm gonna retire, it's gotta be nice. So like, what would like the nice life be?
nice life is gonna be more on the Ocho side. You know Ocho, right? Saint
Yeah.
Anne. That's where most of the tourist side is. So a good rent is gonna be like $1,000 a month for just rent or something like that. So like
Mm.
150,000 JMD, and then so that's like a $1,000 there, and then you want a car, so that's gonna be like a next $400 or $500, and then so it's gonna be like maybe 4 grand. I think.
Okay, okay.
But
Yeah,
it depends
yeah.
on the size of your family too. So if you have kids and
Oh.
stuff, you're gonna send them to private school because you ain't gonna send them to public school. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, okay. So for a real nice life in Jamaica, it's between 4 and 6 thousand a
Yeah,
month.
4 and 6, but that's a really good life though.
Is it real? Okay.
Because a good salary in Jamaica is like three grand a month. That's a really
Mm.
good salary in Jamaica.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah.
really good salary in Jamaica.
Yeah, my family that's gone back, they'll come here
Yeah,
to make their money, and then they
yeah.
go right back.
Exactly, exactly. But that's my long-term goal to like eventually go back and live that good life where I don't have to really stress about like certain things. I just focus on my family, their future, and
Mm.
just like stuff like that.
That's awesome, man. Are you and your wife planning to come to the next ORAAT event in Vegas?
So I think I'm gonna do when is it? February?
I think the next one is going to be January. It's at MLK weekend.
Okay, so I think we're going to Chad Carson's one too, because I'm a part of Chad Carson's community also.
Oh,
So
okay.
I think they're gonna be around the same time, so I'm not sure yet.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I would love to have you there and actually meet in person.
Hmm.
Um, but before we say our goodbyes and give out your contact info, it seems like you're in a couple groups. You're in the One Room at a Time community. You're in Chad Carson's community. What value do you see in being in these communities with other like-minded folks?
So the main thing is the belief, right? The belief that you can actually retire in 3 to 5 years, right? Because like if I go to my job, like all my coworkers, like, yeah, most of them is like, we're gonna be working for the rest like 10, 20 years, right? So it's like, but while I'm here, like, yo, I want to retire in 3 to 5 years. I sound crazy. You know what I mean? If you're only
Mhm.
around people like that's not thinking that it's possible, you're gonna think you're crazy. Because I say this question to my wife all the time, like, do you think we really can retire in 5 years, or is this just a dream, right? But when I go to
Mm.
these groups, I'm like, he did it, he did it, he did it. I'm like, I believe I can do it too. So that's the main thing, And it goes back to being scared, right? You're always gonna be scared, but you know what I mean? You just gotta believe that this is the right thing you're doing.
Mm. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think the power of belief is so important. My W-2s, I'm a teacher, right? So all of the
Hmm.
teachers talking about the pension. I'm like,
Hmm.
I'm not working that long. You
Yeah,
can
man.
rely
Because
on that.
Yeah, because I think I said this to my coworker the other day, right? If I go and try this and it fails, what's the worst gonna happen? I'm gonna be right here with you. So, but if I succeed, I'm gonna be in Jamaica living my best life, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes I have to be careful with the way that I phrase it because I don't want to hurt their feelings and say, hey, if
Well,
I fail, I'm going to be like you. but, but that's kind
no,
of how it is.
yeah, I'm gonna be here with them, you know. So I'm gonna be in the trenches with them, right? So that's how I phrase it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, good man.
So
So if people have questions about house hacking, about the Connecticut market, or really anything at all, how do they reach out to you?
I'm on Instagram, but don't really post that much, right? I don't really post my investment journeys that much, you know. But if you want to reach out to me, you can send us an email at s2hresidence@gmail.com. Or if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's Dellyranks21. DELLYRANKS 21.
Perfect. Thank you so much. If y'all found value in this conversation and would like to hear more, make sure you like and subscribe. Until next time.
All right, thanks.